You know, it kind of gets me thinking too, looking at this lineup and the one that they settled on, how much of this does, like, I know it's early for this, but, you know, crystal ball, right? That kind of thing. When it comes to releases for fighting games, I'm asking you guys, what's on the horizon? Because this is something I've been thinking about a lot, especially the past like month or so. We just had Dragon Ball with rollback drop. Grand Blue Versus is coming out. Project L obviously looming in the horizon, but what in between then? Under Night and Tekken, we already know about that though. Like that's what I'm saying. Like we know about those. We know about those. But it's Under Night Tekken, Cow, and Project L, right? So looking at the lineup for EVO Japan, and they've always it's never like a 1-to-1 or a guarantee or anything like that. They've always done different games for both. It kind of gets me thinking about some titles going into EVO 2024 proper. And also, it makes me think about one company in particular. You know, in the past, Arc System Works is... I guess I want to bring this one up first. In the past, Arc System Works was... For a long time, we could always kind of look at them and say, okay, there's these two teams. There's Team Red, there's Team Blue. Team Red's obviously working on this game. Team Blue's working on this game. Even if you didn't have, like, perfect visibility on that, there was always that kind of, like, feeling, right? Since, I want to say like 2018, basically in the past like 5 years, 6 years, I feel like that line has kind of been blurred a little bit more from the like player or community perspective. Dragon Ball FighterZ just got rollback after it took damn near 2 years since the initial announcement, right? Whatever role that they had with DNF. Throw on top of that Strive and the continued content that they've had for that. Throw on top of that Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, Rising. That company, Arc System Works, and their bandwidth, what do you think is on the horizon for that company? Are they making something right now that we don't know about? Without going into fan fiction territory, I know some of you guys are talking about like Naruto fighters and all this other. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying like that's something to think about. ArcSys has been very quiet in terms of like new projects. A lot of these are updated versions of projects that they've been working on. It's hard to tell with how big that company is, how many projects they're a part of at once now. To the point where it's like, well, shit, if Strive is kind of in the point where they're just focused on dropping new seasonal content. DBFZ is kind of like in a coasting position now. Versus Rising, they probably focused on a little bit more now. Is there something new on the horizon that we should anticipate? You know, it's something I've kind of had in the back of my mind. But also, it gets me thinking about this too. I think you should look at what the lineup was in the, I guess leaderboard's not that relevant, but the lineup at least for last year, right? And you want to think about what has changed. And you might think at first, oh, well, obviously Tekken 8, blah, blah, you know. This lineup, I don't think changes that much, actually. For example, you know, Tekken 8 is obviously going to take Tekken 7's spot. Mortal Kombat 1 obviously hops in where Mortal Kombat 11 was. Under Night 2, I would assume, you know, if it does well, I would assume swaps in for Melty. That just makes sense, right? Strive isn't going anywhere. Street Fighter 6 is Street Fighter 6. So that begs the question of two slots. Dragon Ball FighterZ and Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. DBFZ obviously just got their rollback patch. It's been doing really, really well. That game, and especially like, I was really surprised by this too. But Dragon Ball actually had like a good amount of entrants last year too. I probably benefited a lot from the Street Fighter 6 bump, obviously, but 838 was a lot more than I was expecting for that game. And given that, I'm like, shit, bruh. You have DBFZ with the rollback, but what is it competing with? Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. For that spot, for EVO 2024, are they thinking, do you go DBFZ or Grand Blue? And I don't know. That's the question mark I have. I really don't know. I feel like it could go either way. DBFZ at this point has had, what, like 5-6 EVOs or something like that? It's just something to think about. And then the other one is, of course, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Now, of course, like you guys said PL, right? That's just looming in the background. But that's far off. We're not really worried about that right now. But looking at it, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is that legacy spot, right? Given that they're doing this Third Strike at EVO Japan, I want to think that they want to run... I know that, like, you want to run Third Strike, right? You have to want to run it. But I don't know if it's too hard. You know, Third Strike obviously has port issues and stuff like that, so can they run this game on arcade? Can they get pieces? I don't know. I don't know what the rules are with it. But if it's too hard, and the other thing is, you just had a game for the first time in like 6 years get an update, get an update like this, and I think it lines up perfectly. I think KI is going to get this legacy spot. I think 2024 they run KI. It's got to be KI or Third Strike. I got to imagine. The KI one just makes sense. It'll be interesting to see them try to run that back in 2024. But I mean, like, for the legacy spot, both of these make sense. It's just I think about which one is the, like, easier lift for the event. Because you got to think, too, man. KI probably has some uniques attached to it. It would probably get more unique entrants, I would think, than Third Strike. Third Strike, you probably get a lot of, like, crossover, I would imagine. KI, you might be more liable to get some unique entrants. This is kind of what I'm thinking about going into next year. Like, damn, you kind of can see some of the stuff developing. And with that, I think outside of City of Wolves, right, which would obviously be a replacement for KOF as the SNK slot, the only thing on the horizon that we know about is Project L. You've got, like, new titles for, like, every major IP. But is all that's on the horizon Project L? Is there nothing else? Not that you need anything, but just, like, I'm asking, openly wondering, you know? ArcSys has been kind of quiet, more or less just been kind of like updates and fixes for a lot of the games that have been played for the past four years or so. Are they working on something? I don't know. If so, what do you think they're working on? It's hard to call. I think a lot of people have been talking about the Naruto shit, but to me, that's fan fiction. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you guys in the comments.